Advent begins, and with it, all of our nice, cheery, apocalyptic readings. Advent is the season of learning how to wait. And all through Advent, we will sing, O come, Emmanuel. In this reading from Isaiah, they are back from exile. They got the thing they had wanted. The thing they had been waiting for has finally happened. They have come home, but God still feels distant. Oh, that you would come down, Lord, they say. They call for God to come down while maintaining a deep awareness, I think, of what a dangerous thing this is to ask for. Asking for God to come down and be here with us is not a safe thing to ask. And Mark knows this too. All of chapter 13 pretty much is Jesus's response to the disciples asking, tell us, when will this be and what will be the signs? Jesus says, you are going to wait for a thing and I cannot tell you how long. And the thing that you are waiting for will not necessarily make your life any easier. I am with the disciples here. I want to know. I want to know the signs and the answers. I want to know exactly what is going to happen and when, and preferably sooner. I am an impatient person, so much so that last Advent I tattooed radical patience on my arm and not as a merit badge. How do we know what comes next? How do we know the day or the hour? And how do we learn to wait for that which we believe will finish turning this broken world upside down? How do we wait for this Emmanuel, not knowing exactly where we land after the globe is shaken? Our faith calls us to believe that things are changing, that things have already changed, that the world is not what it was. The world is becoming something new and beautiful and glorious. But how many Advents have we each lived through already singing, O come, Emmanuel? We sing that we rejoice for what is and we rejoice for what is coming. All of this apocalyptic language feels really good in some ways this year. An apocalypse is an unveiling. It is peeling back the things of this world and taking a peek at how God sees. In days of crisis, the things that cover up are shaken loose. And Jesus offers us this parable of a doorkeeper tasked with staying awake and waiting. And not only am I impatient, but I also like to go to bed very early, like 8:30 is nice. And so what is good news here for the sleepy and impatient being told to stay awake and wait? How do we pass this long, dark night? We need to unpack just a little bit the language that our tradition uses around darkness and light. The darkness is not bad. The darkness is not the problem. The darkness can be an invitation. It can take time for your eyes to adjust in the dark. We have been waiting in the dark and we are not done yet. But in the end, the promise is not the dawn. The promise is not the destruction of darkness, but the presence of love. For so many reasons, it is hard to stay awake in the dark. But if we do, our senses are heightened and we can see the stars more clearly. If you eat something in the dark, you can taste it more clearly. And your ears will become attuned to the slightest of sounds. This doorkeeper, sitting and waiting, is powerless. The doorkeeper can do nothing to make the master return. If we sit in the dark, there is nothing we can do to make the sun rise any faster. No matter how patient or good we are at this call to wait, we cannot make God show up any sooner. Even Jesus says he doesn't know exactly when, and it doesn't seem to bother him any. I think the problem is if you decide that the darkness is worthless. If you have decided that this darkness has nothing to offer you, you will sleep right through it. You say, "Wake me up when the darkness is over." And if we sleep through the night, we miss so much. It is hard to walk in the darkness, and we can stumble and fall if we do not go slowly and carefully. And our imaginations can go wild in the dark. What was that sound? But the good news is that we are doorkeepers and waiters, and that it is not up to us to bring the light. The good news is that in the dark we can learn new things, that instead of predicting and knowing and trying to game the system, we can practice waiting here in the dark. We practice hoping for what we cannot see and waiting for what we can barely imagine. And the good news is that God is here. The night is long and we are tired. We are exhausted and we do not know when things will change. We do not know the exact day or the hour, but we keep whispering to each other here in the dark that love is coming, Emmanuel. The promise is not the dawn. The promise is not the end of darkness, but the presence of love. O come, Emmanuel. We sing a song that is all about rejoicing for the thing that is and the thing that is coming. The promise is the presence of love. Amen.